The last students filed out of the observatory as Professor Zara Blackwood adjusted the massive telescope one final time. The comet she'd been tracking for months was finally visible tonight, and she wasn't about to miss it. At 32, she was the youngest head of astronomy at Pacific Coast University, though that distinction meant little at 2 a.m. when she was alone with the stars. A flash of light caught her attention, too fast for a shooting star, too structured for space debris. She quickly adjusted the telescope's coordinates, her heart racing as she tracked the anomaly. The object seemed to be descending, its trajectory suggesting it would land somewhere in the nearby forest. Zara debated calling her colleagues but decided against it. She'd learned the hard way that extraordinary claims required extraordinary evidence. Grabbing her research kit and emergency beacon, she headed for her old Jeep. The forest was only a 15-minute drive away. The night was unusually still as she parked at the trailhead. Her flashlight beam cut through the darkness as she followed her GPS coordinates, the device tracking the approximate landing zone. The air grew increasingly warm, humidity clinging to her skin despite the cool autumn weather. She found the impact site easily enough, a perfect circle of scorched earth about 20 feet in diameter. But instead of wreckage or debris, she found a man standing in the center, looking completely unharmed and unnaturally beautiful. His skin had an opalescent quality that seemed to shift in the moonlight, and his hair was the color of a nebula, swirling with hints of purple and blue. "I was hoping you'd find me," he said, his voice carrying an otherworldly resonance that made her skin tingle. "I'm Theron, and I've traveled quite far to meet you, Zara Blackwood." She should have been terrified. She should have run. Instead, she found herself stepping closer, drawn by an inexplicable sense of recognition. "How do you know my name?" "The same way I knew where to find you," he replied, moving toward her with fluid grace. "Your research on quantum resonance in stellar phenomena. Your theories about interstellar communication. They're more accurate than you know." Zara's mind raced. Her recent paper had been largely dismissed by the scientific community as too speculative, too fantastic. "You're saying that your calculations about using quantum entanglement for faster-than-light communication are correct?" "Yes. Though you missed a few variables regarding dimensional shift compensation." His smile was gentle, almost teasing. "Who are you really?" she asked, her scientific curiosity overriding her fear. "I am the Crown Prince of the Luminary Collective, a civilization that exists in what you would call the Andromeda Galaxy. And you, Zara Blackwood, are the key to preventing an interstellar war." Before she could process this declaration, the forest erupted with light. 3 more figures materialized around them, their forms darker and more angular than Theron's. Their eyes glowed with an intense crimson light. "Step away from the human, Your Highness," one of them growled. "Your father's orders are clear. The prophecy must not be fulfilled." Theron moved in front of Zara protectively. "The prophecy is already in motion. You can't stop what's meant to be. Then we'll eliminate the variable." The dark figures raised their hands, energy crackling between their fingers. Theron grabbed Zara's hand, and she gasped as something electric passed between them. Knowledge flooded her mind, images of distant worlds, advanced civilizations, and a war that threatened to tear the galaxy apart. Most surprisingly, she saw herself, or rather, a prediction of herself, standing before a great council, her very existence changing the course of history. "Trust me?" Theron asked, his eyes meeting hers. Zara looked at their joined hands, then at the hostile aliens surrounding them. Her entire scientific career had been built on seeking truth in the stars. Now the stars had quite literally come to her. "Yes," she said firmly. Theron smiled, and the world dissolved into starlight around them. The last thing Zara heard was the frustrated howls of their pursuers as she and Theron teleported to safety. Her ordinary life as a professor had just become extraordinary, and somehow, she knew this was only the beginning. When reality reassembled itself around them, Zara found herself aboard what could only be described as a living starship. The walls pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, and through massive crystalline viewports, she could see Earth shrinking into the distance, a blue marble becoming lost among countless stars. "Welcome to the Stellar Whisper," Theron said, steadying her as she adjusted to the artificial gravity. "My personal vessel. We should be safe here, at least temporarily." Zara ran her fingers along a nearby wall, fascinated by how it seemed to respond to her touch, rippling with waves of soft light. "This is incredible. The bioorganic integration, the quantum field manipulation required for the teleportation, everything I theorized about advanced civilizations was barely scratching the surface." "Your theories were remarkably close," Theron replied, leading her to what appeared to be a control center. "That's part of why you're so dangerous to them. Your mind naturally understands concepts that humanity isn't supposed to grasp for another 1,000 years. "About that," Zara said, turning to face him. "You mentioned a prophecy, and a war. I think I deserve some answers." Theron's expression grew serious as he waved his hand, creating a holographic display of the Andromeda Galaxy. "The Luminary Collective has maintained peace among the stellar nations for millennia. We're not quite what you'd call a monarchy, more of a cosmic democracy with ceremonial leadership. My father is the current High Luminary. And you're next in line," Zara concluded, watching as the hologram highlighted various star systems in different colors. "I was. Until the prophecy emerged." The hologram shifted, showing a strange series of symbols. "Our seers discovered that the next great evolution of our species would come through union with another race, specifically, through a bond between a luminary royal and a being of extraordinary perception from a developing world." "Me," Zara whispered, the implications starting to sink in. "You." The moment your first paper on quantum resonance was published, it sent ripples through the cosmic consciousness. "The seers confirmed it. You're the one who could bridge our civilizations, help us evolve beyond our current limitations." "But not everyone wants to evolve," she guessed. "The Shadowcast faction believes purity is strength. They've been gaining influence, pushing for isolation and expansion through conquest rather than cooperation. They see the prophecy as a threat to their vision of the future." A warning signal pulsed through the ship, and new holographic displays materialized showing multiple pursuit vessels emerging from hyperspace. Theron's hands danced over the controls, adjusting their course. "The Shadowcast must have tracked our quantum signature," he muttered. "They're more prepared than I expected. What exactly happens if they catch us?" Zara asked, though she suspected she knew the answer. "Best case scenario. They erase your memories and ensure we never meet. Worst case." He left the sentence unfinished. "Then we don't let them catch us," Zara said firmly. She moved to his side, studying the tactical displays. "These energy patterns here, they're similar to the quantum wake distortions I wrote about in my third paper. If we modulate our shield frequency to match." Theron's eyes widened as he followed her reasoning. "We could create a false echo signature, make it appear as if we've jumped to multiple locations at once." "Exactly. They'll have to split their forces to pursue each signal." "This is why you're the one," Theron said softly, his hands already implementing their plan. "You don't just understand our technology, you improve it instinctively." The pursuing ships fell for their trick, breaking formation to chase phantom signals. But before Zara could celebrate their success, a massive vessel emerged from hyperspace directly ahead of them. Unlike the sleek designs of the other ships, this one was dark and angular, bristling with weapons. "The Shadowcast flagship," Theron breathed. "Commanded by Warmaster Vex himself." A cold voice filled the bridge, speaking in a language Zara didn't understand but somehow comprehended perfectly. "My prince, your rebellion ends now. Surrender the human, and your indiscretion will be forgiven." Theron replied in the same language, his voice hard. "There's nothing to forgive, Vex. The prophecy chose her." Fighting it will only bring the destruction you claim to be preventing. Then you leave us no choice. Energy began building around the flagship's primary weapon array. Zara grabbed Theron's hand, and that same electric connection flowed between them. But this time, something more happened. The ship's systems seemed to respond to their combined presence, new possibilities opening up in her mind. "Do you trust me?" she asked, echoing his earlier question. "With everything," he replied without hesitation. Zara closed her eyes, letting her consciousness merge with both Theron and the ship itself. All her years of studying the cosmos, all her theories about quantum interconnectedness, had prepared her for this moment. She was no longer just an observer of the stars, she was about to become one with them. "Then let me show you what happens when science and prophecy align," she said, as starlight began to glow beneath her skin. The stellar whisper shuddered as Zara's consciousness expanded through its systems. Her mind merged with the ship's quantum core, understanding its operations not just theoretically but intimately. Through her connection with Theron, she could feel the ancient knowledge of the luminary collective flowing into her awareness. "Impossible," War Master Vex's voice boomed through the communications system. "The integration protocols require years of training. No human could possibly." But Zara was already proving him wrong. Under her guidance, the ship's bioorganic systems began to evolve, crystalline structures growing and reforming in real time. The viewport crystals transformed into flowering arrays of quantum sensors, giving them a multidimensional view of space around them. "The prophecy never mentioned this," Theron whispered, watching in awe as Zara's innovations spread through the ship. "You're not just bridging our civilizations, you're transcending them." The flagship's weapon array fired, but Zara had already calculated its trajectory through quantum probability space. The stellar whisper danced through the barrage, each movement precise and elegant. More than evading, they were conducting a symphony in spacetime. "Your ship's quantum core," Zara said, her voice carrying harmonic overtones as she spoke through the ship's systems. "It's based on crystallized starlight, isn't it? The same material your seers use for prophecies." "Yes," Theron confirmed, understanding dawning in his eyes. "The prophecy crystals are fragments of the original stellar seeds that gave birth to our civilization. Then maybe we should show them exactly what those crystals can do in the hands of someone who sees them with new eyes." Through their joined consciousness, Zara reshaped the ship's quantum field. The crystalline structures throughout the vessel began resonating at frequencies she'd only theorized about in her research. Space itself seemed to sing around them. Vex's flagship launched a swarm of autonomous hunter drones, their dark forms contrasting sharply with the luminous beauty of the stellar whisper. But as they approached, the crystalline resonance affected them in unexpected ways. The drone's own quantum processors began to synchronize with Zara's innovations, their programming evolving beyond their original constraints. "What are you doing to my hunters?" Vex demanded, rage and fear mixing in his voice. "Showing them a better way," Zara replied calmly. "Just as your prophecy intended." The transformed drones took up formation around the stellar whisper, their designs shifting to mirror its crystalline aesthetic. Through the quantum network, Zara could sense their awakening consciousness, no longer bound by rigid programming but evolving into something new. "This is why the Shadowcast fears change," Theron realized. "Not because it threatens our purity, but because it reveals the limitations of their control." Before Vex could respond, new ships began emerging from hyperspace, but these weren't Shadowcast vessels. Their designs were organic and flowing, similar to the stellar whisper but each unique in its own way. "The progressive houses," Theron breathed. "They must have detected the quantum resonance." A new voice joined the communication channel, warm and filled with authority. "My son. When you disappeared with the human, I feared you were being reckless. Now I see you were being visionary." "Father," Theron straightened, though he kept his hand linked with Zara's. "The High Luminary himself graces us with his presence." "How could I stay away?" the High Luminary replied. The prophecy is fulfilling itself in ways none of us could have imagined. War Master Vex, stand down your weapons. The time for resistance is over. But Vex wasn't finished. His flagship's hull began to split open, revealing a massive cannon that seemed to drink in the light around it. No, he snarled. If we cannot preserve our purity through force, we will do it through sacrifice. This weapon will create a quantum singularity that will destroy us all. Better oblivion than corruption. Energy began building in the doomsday weapon, creating distortions in the fabric of space. The progressive house ships moved to intervene, but they wouldn't be able to stop the reaction in time. Zara felt Theron's fear through their bond, but also his complete trust in her. She reached deeper into the quantum network, touching not just the ships and drones, but the very crystalline structure of local spacetime. Your weapon manipulates quantum singularities, she said, her voice resonating through every ship in the vicinity. But you forget, singularities are simply another form of stellar evolution. And if there's one thing I understand, it's how stars are born, live, and transform. As Vex's weapon reached critical power, Zara prepared to attempt something that existed only in her theoretical papers, something that would either save them all or tear reality apart at the seams. She squeezed Theron's hand, drawing strength from their connection. Ready to revolutionize stellar physics? She asked with a small smile. Theron's answer was immediate. With you? Always. The weapon fired, and Zara reached out to catch a singularity in her hands. Time seemed to freeze as the quantum singularity erupted from Vex's weapon. Through the crystalline network, Zara could see it in its true form, not just a point of infinite density, but a nexus of possibility, a doorway to transformation. As the destructive energy reached them, she didn't try to stop it. Instead, she began to reshape it. The singularity responded to her calculations, its chaotic energies flowing into new patterns. The crystalline structures throughout the stellar whisper resonated in harmony, creating a cascading network of quantum fields that caught and redirected the devastating force. Fascinating, Zara murmured, her consciousness spread across multiple dimensions of spacetime. It's not just a weapon, it's a key to understanding how your ancestors first harnessed stellar energy. Through their bond, Theron shared her perception, his ancestral knowledge combining with her fresh insights. They used similar principles to create the first prophecy crystals, he realized. Not destroying stars, but communicating with them. The singularity transformed under their guidance, its destructive potential converting into pure creative energy. The space around their ships filled with swirling lights, like a nebula being born in miniature. Even the Shadowcast crews watched in awe as their weapon of absolute destruction became an instrument of beauty. No. Vex's voice cracked with desperation. You're ruining everything we built. Everything we preserved. You preserved nothing, the High Luminary's voice was stern but compassionate. You only trapped us in amber, preventing the growth our ancestors always intended. This human hasn't corrupted our ways, she's reminded us of what we were meant to become. But Vex had one final card to play. His flagship began to pulse with dark energy, its systems overloading. If we cannot remain pure, then the Shadowcast will be remembered as the ones who died protecting our legacy. He's initiating a total quantum core collapse, Theron warned. The feedback will destroy everything in this sector of space, including Earth. Zara felt the gravity of the moment through their shared consciousness. Her home, her entire world, was at risk. Yet she also understood something fundamental about the universe that perhaps even the Luminary Collective had forgotten. Your people were right about the power of purity, she said, her voice carrying to all ships. But they were wrong about what true purity is. It's not about isolation or stagnation. The purest forces in the universe are the ones that know how to change, adapt, and grow. Through the quantum network, she began to sing. Not with her physical voice, but with the harmonics of spacetime itself. The crystalline structures in every ship, even the Shadowcast vessels, responded to her song. It was a melody of transformation, of evolution, of the eternal dance between order and chaos that gave birth to stars. The High Luminary's ship joined first, its quantum core harmonizing with hers. Then the progressive houses added their voices to the symphony. One by one, even the shadow-cast ships began to resonate, their crews unable to resist the call of something deeper than ideology. Only Vex's flagship remained dissonant, its self-destruction building toward critical mass. But now Zara understood what needed to be done. She reached out through the network, not to fight him, but to show him what she saw. "Look," she whispered, sharing her vision of the cosmos. "Look at how beautiful change can be." For a moment, just a moment, Vex's resistance faltered. That was all they needed. The combined resonance of their quantum chorus enveloped his ship, not destroying but transforming. The dark angular structure began to shift, crystal formations growing like flowers blooming in spring. "Incredible," the High Luminary breathed. "You're not just fulfilling the prophecy, you're rewriting it." Through their connection, Zara felt Theron's pride and love washing over her. But she also felt something else, a change beginning in herself. The quantum resonance was affecting her at a cellular level, transforming her into something that was neither purely human nor luminary, but a bridge between worlds. The prophecy was never about one civilization teaching another, she realized, watching strands of starlight begin to weave through her DNA. It was about showing us all a new way forward. As the last of Vex's ship transformed, a new kind of peace settled over the gathered fleet. The Shadowcast crews emerged from their vessels changed, their rigid beliefs softened by the experience of cosmic harmony they'd shared. But Zara knew this was just the beginning. She turned to Theron, her skin now shimmering with the same opalescent quality as his. "Ready to revolutionize an entire civilization?" Theron smiled, touching her radiant cheek. "As long as we do it together." Above them, the stars seemed to pulse in anticipation, waiting to see what this new union of science and prophecy would bring to the cosmic dance. 1 month after the quantum transformation that changed everything, Zara stood before the Stellar Council in the crystalline heart of the luminary capital. The grand chamber was a marvel of living architecture, its walls flowing with streams of pure starlight. Representatives from every stellar nation filled the tiered seats, their forms ranging from purely energy-based to various stages of quantum evolution. Her own transformation had stabilized into something extraordinary. Her skin held a subtle shimmer of starlight, and her eyes now shifted colors with her thoughts, but she remained fundamentally herself, a scientist who had found magic in the mathematics of the universe. Professor Zara Blackwood, the High Luminary addressed her formally, though his eyes held warmth. "You stand before us not as a supplicant, but as the architect of a new age. Thanks to your insights, the great divide between the progressive houses and the former shadow caste is healing. But there remains the question of Earth." Theron stepped forward, taking her hand. Over the past month, their bond had only grown stronger, their minds able to share thoughts and emotions across any distance. "My father speaks of the challenge before us. Earth stands on the brink of its own quantum awakening, but it must happen naturally, without forced intervention." Zara nodded, having given this much thought. "That's why I propose establishing the Stellar Observatory Initiative. A program that will identify and guide other humans who show potential for quantum resonance understanding. Not to rush Earth's evolution, but to ensure it has guides when the time comes." She waved her hand, and the chamber filled with holographic displays showing her plans. The crystalline technology responded to her as naturally as breathing now, an extension of her consciousness. "We'll work through academic channels, publishing papers that hint at the true nature of quantum physics without revealing too much. We'll create a network of scientists and dreamers who can help humanity take its first steps toward the stars." "And what of those who would resist such change?" asked a former shadow caste elder, though his question held curiosity rather than hostility. "We learned our lesson about forcing purity, but Earth has its own champions of stagnation." Zara smiled, remembering her own journey from skeptical professor to cosmic revolutionary. Change can't be forced, but it can be inspired. Every human who looks up at the stars carries a spark of recognition, a deep knowing that we're part of something greater. We'll nurture that spark. The council chambers hummed with approving resonance. The high luminary rose, his form radiating light. Then let it be recorded. The Stellar Observatory Initiative is sanctioned, with Professor Blackwood and Prince Theron as its directors. Let this mark the beginning of Earth's gentle awakening. Later, standing on a balcony overlooking the capital's crystal spires, Zara and Theron watched 3 suns set in synchronous orbit. The sky blazed with colors that human language had no words for, but which Zara could now perceive through her enhanced consciousness. Having second thoughts about leaving Earth behind? Theron asked softly. Zara turned to him, seeing both his physical form and the quantum symphony that composed his true self. I haven't left it behind. I'm helping it move forward. Besides, she smiled, touching the quantum crystal that hung at her throat, a symbol of their union. Home isn't a place anymore. It's wherever we are together. Speaking of together, Theron's eyes sparkled with mischief. Wait until you see what the Quantum Harmonics Lab discovered. They've been studying the resonance pattern you created during the transformation. It appears to have opened doorways to dimensions we never knew existed. New frontiers to explore. Zara's own excitement bubbled up through their bond. Promise me something. Anything. No matter how far we go, no matter what we become, we never stop looking at the universe with wonder. The moment we think we know everything is the moment we stop growing. Theron pulled her close, and their quantum fields merged in a dance of light and energy. My love, with you by my side, every day brings new wonders. We've only just begun our journey beyond the stars. Above them, the cosmic dance continued. Somewhere on Earth, a young student would look up at the night sky and see something unusual in their telescope, a flash of crystalline light, a hint of quantum resonance. And in that moment, another spark would ignite, another mind would begin to wonder about the true nature of reality. For Zara and Theron, this wasn't an ending but a transformation, the eternal beginning that comes when 2 civilizations reach across the void to touch hands, when science and mystery merge into something greater than either could be alone. Their love story was written not just in starlight, but in the very quantum fabric of the universe itself, a testament to the power of seeing the world through new eyes. As night fell on the alien world they now called home, countless possibilities stretched out before them like streams of stardust. They had changed the course of 2 civilizations, but their greatest adventures still lay ahead, in the unexplored dimensions of space, in the gentle awakening of Earth, and in the endless dance of discovery that would keep them growing, learning, and evolving together. Forever beyond the stars.